Welcome to Lizessence. I'm Liz, and today we're talking about the art of being unbothered. In a world that demands constant access, nonstop content, and performative vulnerability, there is a woman who moves in the opposite direction. She is soft, but she understands power. Her name is Alexandra Saint Mleux, and she has quietly become the blueprint for the modern it girl. If you've scrolled through social media lately, you've likely seen her face. She is the fiancée of Ferrari F1 driver Charles Leclerc, but reducing her to that title would miss the point entirely. In just over 2 years, she has amassed millions of followers, walked the Cannes red carpet, collaborated with brands like Rhode and Jacquemus, and graced the cover of El Mexico. She did all of this without a reality show, without a scandal, and without ever really explaining herself. So how did she do it? Alexandra Saint Mleux has redefined influence by reintroducing the power of mystery. In an era of oversharing, she chose silence, and that silence made her impossible to ignore. Born in 2001, Alexandra is a multicultural blend of French, Italian, and Mexican heritage. But more relevant than her bloodline is her education. She studied art history at the prestigious École du Louvre in Paris, specializing in 20th century art. This is not a detail meant to pad a biography. It is the foundation of her entire approach to life. She sees the world through the lens of curation. She understands composition, lighting, and the value of a frame. Before she ever became the subject of the art, she was a student of it. When rumors of her relationship with Charles Leclerc first surfaced in early 2023, the internet did what it always does. It tried to consume her. Fans dug for information, but there was very little to find. Her Instagram account was private. She wasn't posting thirst traps or leaking stories to tabloids. She was finishing her degree and working at an auction house in Monaco. While the world demanded to know who she was, she simply continued being her. And that right there is the first layer of the unbothered blueprint. You cannot be bothered by opinions if you are not actively seeking validation. Alexandra's silence wasn't a strategy. It was a byproduct of having a full life before the cameras ever showed up. Their first public appearance as a couple was at Wimbledon in July 2023. They sat with friends, watched the tennis, and the photos went viral. Not because she was doing anything, but because she wasn't. She wasn't playing to the crowd. She was simply present. In a paddock full of wags trying to secure their moment, Alexandra looked like she belonged to a different world entirely, because she did. She belonged to the world of art and quiet galleries, not the roar of the grandstands. The criticism came immediately, as it always does for women who enter the public eye, attached to a high-profile man. She was called a gold digger. Rumors swirled that she had been friends with Leclerc's ex-girlfriend, painting her as a villain in a narrative she never signed up for. In the age of the internet, this is usually the moment where the woman breaks. She posts a statement. She goes on a podcast to clear the air. She defends herself in the comments. Alexandra did none of that. She let the noise exist without her participation. She understood that engaging with chaos only gives it more life. She kept posting her art, her travels, her quiet moments, and slowly the narrative shifted. People started noticing that she wasn't the villain they wanted her to be. She was just a girl who loved art and happened to fall in love with a driver. By refusing to defend herself, she won the war without firing a single shot. This is the second layer. Being unbothered does not mean being unaware. It means recognizing that not every battle requires your presence. Alexandra let the storm pass, and when it did, she was still standing exactly where she wanted to be. Then came the fashion. Alexandra's style is often described as quiet luxury, but it's more specific than that. It is the style of a woman who knows she is being watched, but refuses to perform for the watcher. At the Shanghai Grand Prix, she wore a black Cheongsam-inspired dress by Sao Li, a nod to the host country that felt respectful rather than costume-like. In Monaco, she wore red, but it was a sculptural, architectural red, not a desperate attempt to match the Ferrari colors. Her fashion choices tell a story of intention. She isn't wearing logos to signal status. She is wearing silhouettes that signal taste. This is the difference between new money and old soul. Alexandra carries herself like someone who has always had access to beautiful things, not because she comes from wealth, but because she comes from art. She understands that true luxury is the ability to choose less. When Hailey Bieber's beauty brand Rhode came calling, it wasn't just another influencer deal. It was a recognition of alignment. Rhode's entire aesthetic is dewy, effortless, glazed. It is makeup that looks like skin. Alexandra's personal beauty routine mirrors this philosophy exactly. She isn't caked in heavy contour. She looks like she woke up glowing. The partnership felt organic because it was. She wasn't pretending to use the products, she already embodied them. This is the third layer. Brand collaborations work when the person is the mood of the brand. Alexandra doesn't have to force herself into a campaign. Brands come to her because she already represents what they want to say. Her collaborations extend beyond beauty. In 2025, she launched a resort wear collection with Australian brand Meshki, shot on location in the south of France. The images didn't look like a photo shoot. They looked like stolen moments from a vacation. That is the trick. She makes commerce feel like living. But perhaps the most impressive power move came in late 2025. While still building her fashion career, Alexandra announced the launch of her own charitable foundation, Corazones Unidos, which translates to United Hearts. The foundation supports children's education in Mexico, with a focus on empowering girls through access to schooling and the arts. She partnered with a Mexican coffee brand to create a special matcha menu, with proceeds going directly to the cause. Think about the timing. She announced this just as her profile was peaking, just as the engagement buzz was at an all-time high. She used the spotlight not to sell a flat tummy tea or a fast fashion line, but to direct attention towards something meaningful. This is how you leverage power without losing your soul. She told Elle magazine that social media gave her a sense of independence, and with that came a desire to turn gratitude into action. This is the fourth layer. Being unbothered isn't just about ignoring the bad. It's about staying grounded when the good comes. It's about remembering that influence is a currency, and currency should be spent on something that lasts. On November 2nd, 2025, Charles Leclerc posted a carousel of photos on Instagram. The first image showed Alexandra in a candlelit room surrounded by red roses. On her finger sat an estimated 5 to 6 carat oval diamond worth over $500,000. The couple was engaged. In the photos, their beloved dachshund, Leo, wore a tag that read, "Dad wants to marry you." It was intimate, personal, and perfectly curated. The post garnered over 6 million likes in days. Fans celebrated, the media swooned. But if you had been following Alexandra's journey, this moment didn't feel like a surprise. It felt like the natural conclusion of a story that was always heading toward a happy ending. And then, just months later, in early 2026, they revealed they had quietly married in a civil ceremony ahead of the racing season. No massive wedding special, no exclusive deal with a magazine, just a private moment shared on their own terms. Alexandra even updated her Instagram name to include Leclerc, signaling the union without fanfare. This is the final lesson. The ultimate power move is to save the best parts of your life for yourself. You can share the highlight, you can let people in just enough, but the core, the heart, the true intimacy, that remains behind a velvet rope. So what is the It Girl blueprint according to Alexandra Saint Mleux? First, cultivate a life so full that the internet feels like an accessory, not a necessity. Go to school, study something that lights you up, build skills that have nothing to do with likes. Second, understand that attention is a pendulum. It will swing toward you and away from you. Your job is to stay fixed in your center. Do not chase it when it leaves. Do not grab at it when it arrives. Third, let your style be an extension of your inner world, not a costume for the outer one. Wear what feels true, and let the trends catch up to you. Fourth, use your platform as a bridge to something bigger. When you achieve visibility, look for who you can lift. The most untouchable people are the ones who stay connected to the ground. And finally, guard your privacy like the rare gem it is. In a world that sells exposure, the most luxurious thing you can own is a secret. Alexandra Saint Mleux is not the loudest person in any room. She is not the most controversial or the most desperate to be seen. And yet, she is the one we can't stop looking at. She has mastered the paradox of the modern age. She is famous for being herself, but she only shows us what she wants us to see. She looks soft, but she understands power. Thank you for watching Lizessence. If you want to embody a little more unbothered energy in your own life, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. We'll see you next time.